What's up, guys? Jason here, Morph, Mixology, Reptiles. Welcome back to the channel and to the live stream. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us on freaking football Saturdays. Not often we get football on Saturdays, so we're all missing the game here. Pretty exciting. There's some good. If you guys aren't into football, it doesn't matter, but there's some good stuff going on this weekend. Got all the usual suspects here in the chat, like normal. Freaking Herbert here an hour and 10 minutes early. I don't know if he just doesn't know what time the stream starts or if he's just super ahead of the schedule. But he's here nonetheless. Chris Sexton, Doug Barnes, got Panda Jones. That's a cool name. Spartan Reptiles. That's a local here in town, or not here in town, but here in Montana. So I appreciate you guys all heading over to watch me try to stumble my way through an interview with some friends. So this one's pretty fun. I'm excited because for those of you who don't know Kendra and Geoff of Puget Sound Pythons, Kendra is probably the most quiet person in the hobby by far. And so I told her that she had to come on the podcast and not be so quiet. And she asked if she could bring a drink and Geoff. So here we are, but I'll let them kind of introduce themselves and we'll get right into it. We got a bunch of people in here. Got Mike Ball Python Boulevards up in here. Cool. So I'll keep an eye on the comments, obviously, and let's just get right into it. Bring these guys in. What's going on, guys?
What's up?
Hey.
Welcome to. Is this your internet debut, Kendra?
No, actually it's not.
Oh, well, damn. No, I appreciate you guys coming on and taking your Saturday out, although it's earlier in the night for you guys than it is us, but no, that's cool. I'm glad you guys were able to come on and get this going for us. So yeah. I guess before we get started, since people have figured out at this point, I don't plan anything and I don't have any prepared questions and I'm not an interviewer. This is just friends sitting around a table drinking, but we're not allowed to sit around a table anymore. So we have to do it this way. But
yeah.
For the people as they start to roll in and those that don't know you guys, why don't you give us a little introduction, a little background?
Well, first, I want to say thank you for saying our name right. I don't know what it is, but people from, I guess, not the West Coast don't know the Puget Sound at all. And so
how to pronounce Puget?
Yeah, so we've gotten Puget.
Puget, yeah.
Yeah, I think a couple of times. So yeah, we're Puget Sound Pythons. I guess the adventure of us kind of began, I don't know, probably mid-2000s, I want to say. And so it kind of started back when I was like middle school, high school. And I was this is like pre-Facebook, pre-Instagram, pre-everything. So I was kind of learning the ropes as I went along. But I started out
you're kind of dating yourself that middle school and high school was pre-Facebook.
But yeah, so I don't know, it started really early, just like everybody else, right? Like everyone had a passion for reptiles. They had corn snake, ball python, leopard gecko.
Except us.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah. We're the exception to the rule for sure.
Yeah. So I don't think I was really serious about doing Puget Sound Pythons until like after college, and then I was like, wow, this is like a thing, like people do this, like like, I didn't realize that it was more than just a hobby. Like you could you can make money from it, you can make friends from like doing this, the community. I had no idea. And so yeah, it wasn't until like 2014, 2015 when I came back from New York. I moved back to Washington, and that I really kind of dove into the community, and I was like, wow, this is cool. So I think it's kind of expanded since then. Geoff and I met a couple years ago, and that was really cool because I had been doing this for so long by myself, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who they've had that, they have a significant other, but they're not really like helping, support them necessarily in keeping the animals. And so it was really nice to meet Geoff, and like we share that passion for these animals. So yeah.
Well, so So the elephant in the room, of course, is if anybody was paying super close attention to the thumbnail I made for this live stream, is that you guys don't have the same last name. So are we not married yet?
No, not quite. She
Not
hasn't popped the
quite.
question, so
Is that in the cards?
we'll see. 2021
There
is
you go.
gonna be a crazy year.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, no doubt. Nobody
No,
wanted
but-
to make any big decisions in 2020. That was a bad idea.
Yeah,
Right.
we've already started off, with the wheels running. So
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So how long have you guys been together then?
about 2 years.
Okay.
And we met because of reptiles. Well, I guess actually kangaroos, but there's a Kangaroo Farm that's not too far from us, about 30 minutes away. And
really?
yeah, we were friends on
In
social
freaking
media.
Washington.
Yeah,
Yep.
right? That's you wouldn't think that, but yeah, it's what, only like 40 minutes?
Yeah, it's like they have a small little farm where they have a bunch of wallabies and alpacas and everything. It's a pretty cool little spot.
Yeah. And I didn't even know this. And that's actually how we met, is like, for some reason, like, I didn't realize that we were friends on like social media. Like, I think it was Instagram. Like, I didn't realize that for some reason. I just didn't make a connection. And he posted a picture at the Kangaroo Farm. No, and I saw like the Aberdeen, Washington tag, and I was like, I messaged him or like comment. I was like, what the frig? Like,
Slid
there's
in my DMs.
yeah. I was like, I didn't even know there's a kangaroo farm in Washington. Like, that's crazy. And so then I guess like kind of the rest is history. We just kind of hit it off there. And I noticed in some of his pictures that he had experience with reptiles too, which I thought was really cool. And so, yeah, we just started talking about reptiles and keeping and, everything else.
Yeah,
Well, he's got that Magnum PI stash, so it's like,
Oh, yeah.
that's because of her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I like it.
I don't know if you guys know Rob, but he says he's up in Bellevue, and so he knows of this kangaroo farm that you guys are talking about. That's
Oh, that's awesome.
that's insane. A freaking kangaroo. We had Josh Lumberg on last week, who used to breed elk and freaking whitetail.
Yeah, that was really
And
cool.
now I
That
find
was
out there's a
awesome.
kangaroo farm in Washington. Like, I don't know what's happening here.
Yeah, they have like a sanctuary where they have like a lot of exotic animals. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, and then in the Puget Sound, of course, we have orcas,
Yep.
which is like, you don't
Yeah.
see that everywhere. So
Whale watching's really cool out here.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. That part of the country is so freaking pretty. I mean, my wife and I have talked a few times about going to Seattle for my job. But I
know. You talked to me about it, and I was like,
yeah,
listen, come on, just
I want to, but Seattle has turned into quite frankly, a war zone. But
yeah.
Live
Wow.
outside Seattle. That's the key.
Yeah. Live
Yeah.
outside the city, you're golden.
yeah, we've talked about it. It's just, I know it's getting a lot more expensive up there. It's the same problem as Denver, because Denver was one of the places we really like, and that city is going to hell, quite frankly, and it's getting crazy expensive too, and I'm not a big rain person. I hate rain, and
It's not too bad.
I know it's not. I know there's plenty of places that have more rain, but it seems like the only, the 6 times I've been to Seattle were the only 6 days of the year that it was sunny, and it's like, no, we've definitely, it would be interesting because, I don't know if you guys know or not, but I'm an air traffic controller by trade.
Okay.
And so SeaTac would be either there, or Seattle Approach, which is right there on base or on the property, would be where I would end up. And so working the Seattle stuff and Boeing Field and Everett and that kind of thing would be freaking rad, man. Like that's crazy airspace for sure.
Oh yeah, and good money, I'm sure too.
Oh yeah, no doubt. It's one of the higher level facilities in the country. So I don't know. It's something we still got to talk about. I think we're going to probably head more towards the Central America part of the world. So we're really looking at Kansas City actually as probably our big play.
Oh okay. Yeah.
We're
We'll
both from
see.
Wichita, so
Oh, are you really?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we got family out in Wichita still. So in my
And did you guys meet in Seattle, or did you meet in Wichita?
Washington. We met in Seattle. Yeah.
yeah.
How weird that you guys ended up in Washington and you're from the same area and didn't know otherwise, right?
Yep.
Nope. Yeah.
Well, like our parents live about 20, 30 minutes away from each other. It was pretty awesome.
Oh, that's so bizarre. Well,
I know, a small world.
Yeah, my wife and I mean, when we met, she actually worked with my mom, and I was in South Dakota at the time in the military. And
okay.
and then my mom connected us online and we started chatting in that. And then I ended up getting out and coming back to California, and we've been to I've been to Oklahoma and a few other places since, and then we ended up here. But yeah, it's the same kind of thing. Like, we're both from, I mean, she went to high school 35 minutes from me.
That's
cool.
crazy.
You know, the year prior. So it's really bizarre how that all works out. But so what took you guys out to Washington then? What got you that direction?
Well, I grew up here actually. So I was actually born in California, moved from Wichita to Washington.
Whereabouts in Cali?
Well, I guess like more Pasadena.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. It was like I was born there, and then like for like a minute, and then they were like, "We're gone. We're out of here." So then I moved from there to Wichita, spent a few years there, then Washington, then back to Wichita, and then back to Washington.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And what about you, Geoff? What got you out that way?
Transferred to military units. I've been in the reserves for the last 8 years, so there was better opportunity promotion-wise to come out here. So that's what started it all.
What branch? What do you do?
Army, 74 Delta. So it's like hazmat stuff. It's pretty boring, to be honest.
I mean, it sounds interesting on the surface.
It sounds interesting. The recruiter made it sound very great, but
don't you hate when they do that?
Exactly.
Yeah, Rob asked again in the comments which branch, talking to me as well. I was active duty Air Force, air traffic. That's where my career started in South Dakota, and then I went home and ended up, when I got hired, this was my best option, I guess is the best way to put it, without going into the long drawn out story of how the federal government has screwed up their hiring process for the last 15 years. But that's a whole different argument. But no, that's cool, man. And so you're reserved then. So do you have a quote unquote real job?
Yeah, I'm police on the federal side, so still work for the federal government. So it's pretty nice.
So without getting, and actually, to be quite frank with you, I don't care if we do or not, because I have a gut suspicion that if the three of us were sitting in a room and not live on the internet, we would probably all be fairly on the same page with a lot of things. But what's your stance on everything going on? Where are you at on all this?
It's crazy, you know.
I can't imagine. And for you, Kendra, I'm sure it's scary to some level too.
I suppose. I mean, like, where we're at, we're fine. Like, there shouldn't be any issues, and like, you know, like, we both have stable jobs. You know, it is what it is, and it's unfortunate the way that things have gone the way they've gone. Yeah. You know, but there's not much we can do about it right now. So you just kind of have to roll with the punches and just kind of take what you can get and just do you. I mean, that's our focus is mainly on the animals anyway. So
yeah, for sure. No, I've always been a huge fan of supporter of law enforcement in general, and it's it's a really shitty position that they've been put in as a whole.
Yes,
and you probably know this better than anybody, Geoff, that it's that 1 or 5 or 10% or whatever it is of jackasses that are making it super dangerous and bad for all the rest of you that we all know are just trying to do your job and come home, and
yeah.
So
on that apple. Yep.
Yeah, that part makes it tough. And well, I mean, it's the same thing in my career field. And we had, I'm sure most people saw in the news 2 years ago or whatever it was, the lady in Vegas that was not well on position, working by herself, and just sounded like she was going way off the deep end psychologically. And then come to find out she quit the FAA after that instead of going through the whole investigation and all that stuff. And so as far as I'm concerned, that's like guilty as charged right off the bat if you run from it, kind of thing. And, we get bad marks too. It happens. So, but yeah, it's just, this whole thing is just frustrating more than anything. I mean, you can believe in the hype or the conspiracy or, whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, I think regardless of where you align, we're all just freaking tired and frustrated and fed up with it, And we got Mike, we got Ball Python Boulevard, Mike Janikowski in here. And I don't know if you guys follow him on Facebook, but he's exceptionally outspoken about this too. So
just a tad bit.
I'm sure we'll get some comments from Mike. So,
Mike's entertaining on Facebook.
Yeah, no doubt. So were you involved at all in the stuff going on in Seattle over the summer?
No, thank God.
Yeah.
I used to work downtown just before it all happened.
Yeah.
And I left, and switched jobs.
Right before
it.
And
so
thank God.
What is, for those of, me, but for those of us that are ignorant to.
Glitching.
Oh, you still there?
Yep. We're good.
Weird. Like I disappeared for a second. For me and those of us that are ignorant to it, what does federal law enforcement look like other than what's going on with Capitol PD and that kind of thing? What does federal law enforcement look like as opposed to being a Seattle, police officer or whatever?
It really depends on your agency. I mean, there is so many federal police agencies. You got like Veterans Affairs Police, where you wouldn't think about it, but a VA, they have police officers. FPS, which they're the law enforcement agency for any federal building. So, your IRS office, your federal courthouses, things like that. They handle all those kind of cases. So then you have federal police officers that are with the DOD. So they work with different military branches as the civilian police officers that are going to stay there rather than, being an MP or whichever branch, security forces that switch around and get out of the military. So that's where I'm at. I'm at the Everett Navy base as a civilian police officer right now. So it's relatively a lot better than being in Seattle.
I was gonna say, because you're inside the wire, so to speak, so you don't have to deal with it. Yeah.
If somebody runs from me, I just let the gate guards close the gates. Where are you gonna go?
Interesting.
So,
interesting. So is there because there's always like branch rivalry in the military, obviously. And we, everyone makes fun of the Air Force, and we all make fun of the Navy, and the Coast Guard's just a bunch of guys out in dinghies, and whatever the case may be. But is it the same thing in federal PD? Like, are the guys that are working the metal detector at the courtroom, are they like the mall cops of federal PD? Is that how that works? So you guys just pick on those guys, or like?
Yeah, I mean, we all kind of pick on each other, because it really depends. But I mean, we definitely pick on each other, especially with military branches, being Army, working alongside Navy. One of my buddies, he just got out of the Marine Corps, and then now he's a K-9 officer. And so he always gives me crap. I give it right back to him. Her brother's a Marine, so we, crack jokes at each other too. It's definitely, I think, the same as when you're just cracking jokes with each other.
Yeah, that's what keeps it okay. I see you, Rob. I get it. You're a Marine. I understand.
Semper Fi, all right.
So, no, that's cool. And obviously, you've got support in here too. I'm seeing, but you got my back or my support for sure. And
I appreciate that. Yeah, we've only gotten a little bit of hate from that anaconda picture we posted.
Oh my gosh, that was
blue line flag in the background.
Unintentional. Like, it was just a photo. We were just taking a picture of an animal, and we got reamed on Instagram for it, and it was just
I've got a first responders flag hanging underneath my American flag out front too. It's got all the important people on it, And my next door neighbor, when they moved in, so I had when we first got into this place, I was finishing the backyard. So my motorcycle trailer was sitting in front of the fence, and it has a distressed blue line flag tire cover on the front. Mm-hmm. And my next door neighbor moved in, and he's BPD here in town. And when we met his wife, she walked over. She's like, "Yeah, we drove into the driveway and saw the blue line flag. We're like, okay, we're gonna be just fine here." And he parks his cop car in the driveway. And I'm like, "Please do put it in my driveway. I don't care. Like, you're more than welcome in this neighborhood." So
that's awesome. Yeah, in this day and age, it's kind of a hit or miss, right? With the support there. So
I think the most irritating thing about 2020 though is we were trying to go to Australia, plan a trip there, and COVID just shut those ideas completely down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have like the most extreme first world problem that with my job I get to do 2 free flights a year anywhere in the country. And so I use that to go visit other collections. That's how I got to Justin's place and down to Jay's place in LA and that kind of thing. And I had been planning. I went to Ohio in February and got my tattoo stuff done from Brian. And then he and I drove up to Garrett's place in Pittsburgh. And then that was it, because after that, everything shut down and I didn't get to use my other flight last year. And I don't know when they're going to let us start doing it again, because I've already scheduled. I can go to BHB in the Reptarium anytime I want. I just need to let Brian know when I'm on my way. I want to get to Nerd. You know, I want to go see Josh Jensen down in Florida. I've already hooked up with Tyler Nolan, so I'm going to get down his way at some point. I was like, but I'm sitting here like, come on. I mean, we're all working. Just let me freaking. And for that matter, if the airlines are requiring their crews to get the vaccine, if I voluntarily go get mine, does that not mean I can't be in the cockpit? Like, come on.
There you go. Yeah.
I don't know.
Book, you know, but it's
we're loosen up.
Yeah, we're dealing with the federal government, so I mean, you understand that kind of problem. But when you're trying to have logic anyway.
Yeah.
What about you? What about you, Kendra? Do you have a real job?
I do. I'm a contractor for Microsoft right now.
So in Seattle, then.
Yeah. Actually, it was kind of a they found me kind of thing, because I worked when I was living in New York. After school and everything, and then I came back here, and they're the ones that actually kind of found me because of my degree in psychology and stuff. And now I've been there for almost 4.5.
About 5 years almost.
Yeah, almost 5 years now, and I'm a lead. So the next step from this point is to hopefully get into Microsoft next year. But fingers crossed.
What do you do for them?
So right now it's just it's super boring. It's just like customer service support stuff. It's super boring.
You're trying to actually get in on campus with them? That's the next move?
Yeah, in Redmond, hopefully. I mean, I'll take whatever position I can get, honestly, because the hardest part is just getting your foot in the door.
Yeah, no doubt.
Once you're in kind of thing. I mean, that typically works with a lot of corporations. But yeah, something, I don't know, maybe on the legality side of things, with process and procedures, something to do on that kind of end would be nice. But we'll see.
You can write all those terms and conditions that none of us ever read.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I agree.
Just click the button. Did you
go to NYU? Is that?
No. I just I went to Buffalo State. I played ice hockey out there for the women's ice hockey team, and just got my psych degree.
Yeah.
Hardly, but yeah.
Just tries to come off all sweet and quiet, and here she is just slicing chicks' throats with her skates. And
oh yeah, because that definitely happened.
That's crazy. That's actually another place I need to travel to is Buffalo, so I can go see Billy.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I have to stay within the country. That's the problem. I can't go to Toronto, so I'll have to.
Oh man, I was just gonna say, if you want to go to Niagara Falls, the Buffalo side's the shitty side. So
yeah, I'll drive around it and look at it from the other side.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, Buffalo's an interesting place to live. That's for sure.
Yeah, we had a girl that used to work with us that was from Buffalo originally.
Yeah.
And she actually it was a whole EEO nightmare between her and somebody else. So we basically traded people for somebody that was in Buffalo to come here and the whole 9 yards. And she was a Bills fan and everything else. And she was obnoxious.
Oh, please do explain.
Yeah, it's okay. So in our break room, we have somewhat regular breaks at work. It's just part of the job. It's a perk of the field, I guess. And we always watch football on Sundays. That's just part of what goes on. And for a long time there, we actually had one of the guys, my carpet python's making a bunch of noise. One of the guys that worked for us brought in a DirecTV box so that we had Sunday tickets so we could watch all the games. And there's kind of like this unwritten hierarchy understanding based on where you are in your training, how long you've been in the facility, if you're certified, because obviously people that are certified, you weren't Air Force, but they're like the 5 levels, the ones that have their badge and everything for their career field. And everybody that's not certified is, they're supposed to be in the doghouse studying. But and so there's like this unwritten hierarchy where if you're the highest ranked person in the break room at the time, so to speak, then you can have control of what's on TV unless you don't care. And then it kind of defers on down the line. Right. Mm-hmm. So we're sitting in there watching some football on Sunday, and my buddy JD, who came in just after I did, and we're both certified by this point, and he's sitting in the recliner with the remote on the armrest, and I'm sitting on the other couch, and he's doing what we did every weekend. Like, he's a Packers fan, I'm a Pats fan, so you'd watch the Pats game for a while, then it would go to commercial, you flip over to the Packers game, you watch it for a while, you flip back, you go to the Broncos game. Like, we're just kind of bouncing around so everybody can get a little bit of their game, right? Mm-hmm. And so the thing's just sitting there on the armrest, and Becca comes in, and she's still in training. So as far as we're concerned, like, she's bottom of the barrel in this hierarchy. And she comes in, she sits down in the recliner or in the couch next to me, reaches up, grabs the remote, and changes it to the Bills game, which we had not been flipping to at all because nobody gave two shits about what the Bills were doing. And
I bet you are now.
We're all like just staring at Becca. We're like, "Excuse you? What the hell do you think you're doing?" And she's like, "I want to watch the Bills game." I'm like, no, that's not how this works. You don't understand how the ranking system is. She was loud and just yelling at Josh Allen because he sucks, and it's like it was, oh man. I don't know if all people from Buffalo are that way, but she was obnoxious.
There's a particular personality that grows on you living there. If you notice people move away from Buffalo and not to Buffalo, their games are crazy.
I was gonna say, I've seen their tailgaters. I know what their fans look like.
Oh yeah, I have a couple friends out there still who are in those videos. One of the guys, I don't know if you guys remember, well, I'm sure actually, since you're a Pats fan, you definitely do. When somebody threw a black dildo out on the field when they were playing the Pats, the brothers that threw that dildo out, I shared right next door. I had a locker room right next door to them at Buff State. They were on the men's ice hockey team when I was on the women's ice hockey team. Yeah, Dylan Hayes, and his brother, yeah.
Just small world out on live internet, like just.
They had a whole video posted about it. They had I think it was Barstool Sports did a whole interview with them and their family and everything about it. Like, they were banned from the stadium, like this and that. And I'm like, when I watched that, and I was like, wait, I know that motherfucker. I know that kid. Like,
that's so funny.
Yeah, just a small world. But yeah, Bills fans are diehard Bills fans.
Doubt. Well, they have to be, because they don't, they freeze.
Exactly. Yeah. Like.
So Rob says, if you get the Redmond job and Inslee lets him go back to work, the first drink's on him. So there you go.
Okay. All right. Awesome.
That's why Inslee let us eat out in the restaurant or something.
This is now a legally binding agreement here. So sweet. I've got it archived and everything. So.
That's awesome.
Panda Jones wants to know who said that Kendra was quiet. I did, and most other people in the hobby.
Yeah, I was kind of low key for a really long time. I was just kind of in the background, like doing my own thing. Like, I go to shows, but I don't know, like the community, I'm sure a lot of people have experienced this. Like, you say one wrong thing and you're toast. You know what I mean? Like, people get on you if you make a friggin' spelling mistake nowadays. So I just kind of just quiet in the background, like doing my own thing. Like, being a female keeper is like hard enough as is, that I don't need like unwanted attention, because like
all the creeps come to her.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a story for another time. But yeah.
That's why the Instagram has all pictures of Geoff and none of Kendra. It's like.
She's not like being behind a camera, or
front of the camera.
Yeah, I prefer to be behind the camera, not in front of it. Yeah.
But
yeah, it's like just with just a regular reptile community in general. Like, I'd rather like watch and be in the background and see what people say, because I have to bite my tongue a lot, because I see a lot of misinformation being spewed out there, and I'm like, it's not my battle, not my fight, and reputation with keeping and breeding and being in the community is just it's everything. So you don't want to say one bad thing and then it goes downhill from there.
Mike's making fun of you, and I just know that
that. I see that.
I just know if I bring Mike on, I have to list my video is not suitable for ads and whatever, and it's going to be demonetized. And
right.
God forbid I ask him about what's going on in politics. I'll just take my head.
No, that's a no-no.
Oh my God!
I'll just
I
put
love
it
you,
on
Mike.
screen and walk away.
I think Mike's actually picking up an animal from us on Monday.
Hopefully, yeah, Mike, you need to message me about that. We got to figure that out.
Yeah, we need some repti chip too. So
Yeah, that's nice. Mike's
Cocoa
the chip.
It's all.
Supply.
That's actually in that tub. Oops.
Oh, you're not the Cocoa Blacks guy.
No, I have Cocoa Blocks,
Boo.
but some of these are Reptile chip. This is Reptile chip. It's it's interesting because I did both, and I go back and forth, and
Yeah, that's what I hear.
But I went with the Cocoa Blocks for a while because the chunks are definitely. Hope she doesn't bite me. The chunks are definitely bigger. Like these are, I mean, I forgot I'm using that camera, but they're these are all
chunky.
like dime size, nickel size pieces, right? And it's all fun and games, and I like it because it seems to hold longer and be more dense. But it sucks in the hatchling tubs and the little tubs and that, and it seems like all they got to do is like sneeze, excuse me, and it just moves out of the way. Where this Reptile chip stuff that's got like a little bit more fullness, I guess, in the same handful. Yeah, it's hard to explain, but I'll probably do a round of Reptile chip again just to experiment. Like it's all the same as far as I'm concerned.
yeah, we mix it up with sphagnum moss a lot of the times and like leaf litter. That's what we've been doing a lot lately. It's really cool to see because especially with you have Demero boa, they always burrow themselves right underneath the substrate.
Yeah.
Oh, you ask anybody, I'm the worst Dumerals owner on the planet because
look at that.
she's in a 6-foot enclosure on indented paper and there's no hide and she doesn't have the ability to burrow. And my male Dumerals is up there on indented paper with no hide and can't burrow. And everybody's like, "Oh, you're the worst person on the planet." I'm like, I beg to differ because they are doing perfect. And I'm pretty confident she's gravid. So obviously what I'm doing is working.
Yeah.
That's
and
awesome,
and when they make a mess, they make a huge mess. And having that paper is way more efficient because then I just go up here on the roll that's hanging from the ceiling and I pull off a 6-foot length and I put it down in there and start over. That's
easy peasy.
I mean, that would be that's almost an entire block's worth of bedding to put in that cage.
Oh, I bet.
We have ours on Repti chip and we don't have it's not too difficult. We just mostly spot clean and then every so often replace the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, we do our monthly cleanings, like deep cleanings. We clean everything, and then our weekly cleanings. So
yeah, I'm making sure I'm not missing anything here. Comments are going crazy.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully we'll make some more, Rob.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess I guess we can get into the snake stuff since that's really why we're here.
What? You don't want to know my life story?
Well, yes, but I figure if I pry enough, eventually you'll just leave, and then I'll be like, well, this is not a Kendra podcast anymore. Now what do I do? And
well, it'll be a Geoff podcast. It'll be a Geoff and Jason podcast.
I also don't like calling it a podcast. I don't. There's something weird to me about that.
Really?
Yeah,
I mean, I don't really know the difference. So
it's not. It's a vidcast, if anything else, because there's.
Okay.
The audio is not saved elsewhere to be downloaded. Like it can't be downloaded off of Spotify or the podcast app or anything like that. Like Garrett Hartle and Brian Cusco, when they do theirs, a lot of times they film theirs and sometimes they'll be live when they do it, but they like their podcast downloads to my phone when they do it, and
okay.
And like Chris Eaton, Snakes and the Fat Man, his is exclusively audio and is an actual podcast. These that we all do, honestly, I think is just like-minded people hanging out, on a Saturday night, really.
Yeah.
I mean, 2020, if nothing else, brought people into this far more than they'd ever been before. That's why everybody and their brother in the community has one of these now, it seems like. So.
Yeah, everyone.
There's a lot of good ones, though. Learn a lot.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. It's been fun. And if people throw some super chats at me, then I can put that towards buying another animal. So,
what's your next animal on your list to get?
Well, he's not in here right now, but Dale at Constricted Reptiles has a couple things that I've been talking to him about, but they're big money things, and it's difficult because last year when we started, we decided we were going to run all. Damn it, Herbert! He does this in every video too. The problem is Herbert makes stuff that I can't afford either, so it's going to be a long while before we get there. We decided that we were going to run this last year basically cash only. You know what I mean? So if there was no money in the account that I have separate for this, then nothing happened. So I had to wait until there was enough in the account and some surplus to put the down payment on my racks and to order bedding and order rats and, that kind of thing. And accidentally buy snakes in the JT auction and, that kind of deal. So,
accidentally.
Yeah. So we had to be really diligent about it that way. And so I have to look forward in this year to do the same. But now we're at that point, I think, with the collection and the breeding, the next move, and we've done one already. I think I sent you, Kendra, what we bought that'll be here in a few months. I don't know if I did or not.
I don't think you did. Rock Kendra. Wow.
No, I don't think there's any other Kendras, to be fair.
You see that?
I see it.
Wow.
Trail. It looks
One
like
of the guys I work with, his wife's name is no, her name's Kendra with an I. That's totally different.
Yeah.
I'll send you a picture while we're talking. But anyway, I haven't told anybody what this thing is yet, except some people in my inner circle. But it was our first big investment animal. It was the first 4-figure animal we bought and that. And so, and my wife and I talked about it quite a bit. And we kind of came to the realization that we're at that point now in the collection where the next move is higher dollar animals, like a really powerful male that we can put into a couple of things, or, buying into a combo het monsoon female that we can raise up, or, we're talking, real money now kind of things. And so, to that end, figuring out what we're going to do next is kind of difficult. I have some ideas. And like I said, Dale's got a couple things I'm interested in, but the next genes are big. I mean, we're looking at acid confusion or stranger or DG pides or, puzzle or whatever. So we start working that direction. It starts getting pricey, but it's a long way to get to the answer. The first one, I don't know when it'll be here because I don't know when they're going to hatch, but I do have a deposit on a blacktail Crebo that I'm super stoked for.
Nice. Okay.
Now we're talking non-ball python stuff.
Yeah. So I'm hoping I might get 2 at some point, just to have them, and I might try a herring just to see if I can do it. But this year I do want to get, I was supposed to be getting Joel from State 48. Him and I were going to work out a deal on his Moonglow female, his adult Moonglow.
Nice.
Boa,
Okay.
And that fell through, and he's going to keep her, which I think he should, but I was kind of bummed.
Yeah.
I even ordered a spot for her in my new setup, but she's not coming. Anyway, so I'm probably going to buy at some point a Moonglow female to raise up for my male. And I found a really cool jungle sunglow posset anery female that's like this cream and bright fluorescent orange color, just super cool. It's like, even if she doesn't prove out head anery or he doesn't prove out head anery, who cares? Like, it's going to make really cool sunglow combos in that.
For sure.
So I'd like to do a small boa project, Moonglow and Snow boa project, just like a 1.2 kind of thing. I want to get a small project of blood pythons. I kind of want to work the T negative pixel 007 GoldenEye kind of project. So more higher end stuff. So again, you're looking at $1,500, $1,800, $2,000 females to pick up to start that project, but I'm also not going to have 70 of them. So I might as well do it right, and just have the right ones. But
that's enough.
Yeah. Well, I had that male Sumatran, that chromate Sumatran short tail for a long time. And then I realized it was male, and I was like, what am I doing with this? It's wasting my time and rack space. So moved that on. But, I've got the carpets, but, as far as ball pythons are concerned, I don't really know what I need to add. I'll probably find some stuff along the way, but we're going to try to cut back this year and be able to take some money out of it, take it home. Hopefully that's the goal.
Yeah. You definitely got to make sure that, like, especially when we get to the number of animals that we keep, that we're kind of focusing, because you don't want like in pastel ball pythons, like they may, like, if that helps your project, that's great. But like in the long game, you have single gene females in your collection, unless you're doing, you're putting them to recessive stuff. I mean, why are we keeping them around, right? So being able to focus and produce things that you actually, that you want to produce, I think is really important. Like, still having a passion for it at the end of the day, I think is super important, especially when you get up to 50, 60, 100 animals, because if at the end of the day, it's a job to you, then why are you doing it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's gotta be that's what it is for us. We come in here and, we just relax. We be able to observe, like the anaconda when she's in their pond. It's probably, the coolest thing, just to come in here and just watch her. It's definitely supposed to be a stress reliever, not, bring anxiety on.
Yeah.
And that's, it's been our thing. It's like, I don't want, I talk to people all the time. They say, I've got my 8-hour a day job. And then I come home and I do 6 or 8 hours in the snake room. I'm like, why? Like, that's insane. It doesn't take me that long to be in here. Like, even on the worst day when it's been neglected and I got to turn over every single tub and dump some and clean new ones and make sure everybody's got, we were talking like a 4-hour idea at most. Yeah. And so it's, there's 100 animals in here or something like that. And I just kind of think that spot right around the 40 to 50 breeder females, 30 clutches a year is plenty. I mean, it's enough that I can do most of it by myself. I can still have her life. I've got a 5-month-old now, and and
she's
that,
so cute.
Yeah, thanks. But and it generates, it gets to the point where it'll generate a substantial side income, and it's still fun at that point. I don't want it to be a job. And I have no desire to go full time.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing with that is, like, you start to get into the higher end, I guess, spectrum on what you're producing. You're not producing animals for necessarily people who want one for their first pet. You know what I mean? Yeah. You're producing normals. You're going to produce, your customer base is going to be the people who are looking for something for their first animal. And that's great. Like, I don't, like, there's nothing wrong with doing that if that's what you want to do. But at some point you kind of have to find the line of, like, hey, I like to do this, but I want to see a profit in the end. I want to be able to put some money back into what I'm putting out. Right. And so being able to go on that higher end, you're producing animals for a select customer base, not just for everybody and their mom, right? And so I think that's a really great idea. And I think that's kind of our end game too here, is we're bumping up a few things. We have a couple nice projects going on, and then some other things we have that are non-ball python related. If anybody follows us on Instagram or Facebook, we keep a lot of different species now. Originally when it was just me doing this, it was just ball python because that was the easiest thing I could do, by myself. I was a student, doing this in my bedroom essentially, and keeping ball pythons was super simple. Yeah.
Now we're at 3 bedrooms.
Yeah. Now we're at like 3 bedrooms full of animals, and
you got to build a room in the garage like I did.
I don't know about that. I like my garage space.
Yeah.
You and me both. Trust me. Yeah.
I think the thing that takes the longest time to take care of is the rats.
Yeah.
But it's so much cost effective to actually do it ourselves rather than spend hundreds of dollars a month to feed our collection.
It definitely is. And it's kind of a tough spot that I was put in when we moved, with the baby was on the way, and because I thought it was wise when my wife was 7 months pregnant to buy a new house and move. We started realizing that I don't want to be breeding the rats in the house when the baby's here. And in this climate, in a normal garage, there ain't no way in hell I can keep them alive in the winter to do it. And so we're like, okay, well, we're going to start going away from that. And then when we found this place, we're like, there's no place to breed them here anyway. And the snakes can't come in the house. We don't have any extra rooms. So that's when I started designing this room in the third car section. And I was like, I'm going to have to go away from breeding rats. And while I greatly appreciate getting my Tuesdays back, because that was my existence from like, I would work, it would be that would be a full-time job on Tuesday, my day off.
Yeah.
To go completely turn over the rat room. I'd get up, I'd go get my haircut, go do my errands, picking up rat food and bedding and all that crap. And then I'd lock myself in that room for 8 hours, whatever. And I'd turn over everything. And it's nice for feeding, the feeding response is nice. And if they don't eat it, you just throw it back in the tub. There's no waste, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But I have regained a lot of my time back. And obviously I don't have to deal with any of the mess and the hassle and all of that. So it's it's definitely a catch-22, it does.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and I think to that point, like, I think again, it comes back to like surrounding yourself with people who support you and who are able to help you. Like we have some great, awesome helpers. I think they're actually in the chat right now.
Amanda Jones.
Yeah. There's really our girl, Amanda. So Amanda and Carl come over every week and help us out doing rodent duty. They help us with snakes, and they're like the only people we really trust with our collection, but we, that was previously when we didn't have them, it was literally an all weekend thing to do. Like it was a solid 2 days worth of work, and it was exhausting. Yep. And yeah,
it made life so much easier. I can't say thank you enough to them.
Yeah, absolutely. They're the best. Oh my God, they're the best. But yeah, I think like when you're doing this by yourself, like that's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's tough because I don't ever want to get to where I need or can justify employees, because I'm a real pain in the ass when it comes to that kind of stuff, and nobody will ever do it the way I do. Nobody will ever go through this room and keep it and work on stuff. I have a very like systematic, and you watch me week in and week out, I go through this room in exactly the same order all the time. Yeah. I think that's kind of the way it's the way I was raised. It's the way I'm built. Some of that is a military background. I'm sure it's very methodical and organized in that, but nobody will ever be able to do it the way I do. And I think, quite honestly, I think that's part of the reason my wife is not as instrumental out here as she is, which is fine. I mean, we, again, have a baby to take care of, but, she does help, but this is kind of my baby, and that's fine, and I don't want to have to deal with other people. I'll tell you the perfect scenario for me would be having live rodent delivery every week. That would be key.
I had that when I was in Buffalo. It was the best.
Yeah.
It was
the problem is
the best thing ever.
The only source I have is 2.5 hours from here. And he's obviously not going to make that drive because it's not enough to warrant that kind of, day for, 60 rats or 80 rats at a time. And it's kind of a pain in the ass to meet him halfway, because that's still a 3-hour round trip for each of us. Yeah. So if he was here in town, or I was in Bozeman or whatever, I would have live delivery. I'd go pick it up every week, and this would be a no-brainer. But, I've made the transition to frozen, and it's going decent.
Yeah.
I do think that the overhaul, when it's all done, will make a big difference. I am convinced that the gray tubs make a huge difference. And so getting away from all of these clears is going to be a big deal. Mm-hmm. So we're just going to have to see as we get there, but that's part of the growing pains. No,
and I've heard that like, some animals just do better in the grayed out tubs versus the clear ones. Some do better in clear versus grayed out. I mean, it's, you got to know your collection. You got to know your animals to really know what's best for them. Right. And yeah, it's a tricky thing, but to your point, I totally agree. I think before, like when I first met Geoff, he'd come over, we were like early on in the relationship, like I had shown him the collection, and then like we were cleaning one day and he was doing something wrong, and like I snapped. Oh. And I was like, I'm sorry, who do you think you are? Like, this is my thing. And so I really had to learn that, like, to let other people help, because it had been my thing for so long, that having somebody else in the room, and then let alone having somebody else like help clean, I was like, you're doing it wrong. Like, everything you're doing is wrong. Just stop. Like, let me just do it. And then I had to just kind of like let it go, because I can't do it all, even though I really want to. But like, I can't do it all. And so that was definitely something I had to learn. So hopefully, Jason, one day that you're able to learn that as well.
Kendra snap, no way.
It'll be about the time that my daughter's old enough to participate, I'm sure. Like,
oh yeah, there you go. Free help then, right?
Yeah, there you go. I don't have to pay her. Like, So let me ask, because one of the things I see that a lot of people's interviews in that is it's a lot like my situation. They'll ask, how did you get your wife on board, your girlfriend on board, whatever, with breeding and having 100 snakes in your house and this, that, and the other. You guys are kind of the other way around because this, like you've said, this was your venture, Kendra, when you started. So was it weird being a woman in this industry to begin with, and then bringing in your significant other kind of backwards from the rest of the way it seems to happen, if that makes sense?
I would say yes and no. There are definitely like challenges with it. Being a woman in the community is definitely has its pros and cons for sure. But Geoff, like when we met, you already had quite a few animals yourself, and so like it was kind of a really smooth transition. I guess like the only challenge though with it is like being able to focus the species that we want to keep, things that we're both excited about versus like things that he might be excited about, but I'm really not. I'm like, like that can be your thing, and vice versa. So, I think honestly with us, it was pretty easy.
We like most of the same things. So relatively it had been really easy, except for the fact, hey, you got to go pick up the snake. Oh, you order another snake?
Yeah.
We always do it to each other.
Yeah. Well, that was gonna be my next question. We can get off on the tangent if we want, but I listen to Dave Ramsey religiously. It's just I don't listen to music anymore. I'm like a super old guy. I listen to talk radio and podcasts, and that's it. But I listen to Dave Ramsey. So I'm curious in your guys' situation, who is the saver or the more focused, dedicated one, and who is the free spirit that would just start bringing in every animal available if at all possible?
That's such a good question.
It depends.
Yeah, I would say
it kind of goes both ways. It really depends on what we're talking.
Mm-hmm.
If it's your oddball species, it's definitely going to be me.
Yeah.
If there's a scrub up available and I got the money, I'm probably going to throw my money
like
at
there's been a couple times where he's just like, hey babe, we bought this. Here, it's on my phone.
Yep.
Here, check it out. I'm like, oh, okay. Now I gotta make room for this thing.
We're slowly reaching our capacity though. So we're trying to like downsize on things we are not as passionate about, and then doubling down on the things that we do like. So
So how many different species do you guys have currently? Do you know?
Oh, that's such a good question. I think we talked about this earlier, and
it's like I think we're at 16 or so.
16 or 17 different species that we work with.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's definitely.
What do we got? We can list them off for you if we can remember them all.
Okay. So obviously ball pythons.
Mm-hmm. That most of the collection.
I would say that's your primary focus. At least as for us, the ball pythons pay for this room to be here.
Yes.
If I do other project stuff, that's just for fun.
Yeah. So I think that the ball pythons are definitely like I have a passion for them because I really like genetics and like learning about that kind of stuff. So I'd say for that it because it's so large compared to everything else right now financially, it's helping us support everything else. And then everything else is we're getting there. Like we have quite a few groups of some different species that we're excited to go with. It's just everything's so new still that it's going to be a few years before we get those taking off. But so we got ball pythons, blood pythons, carpet pythons, Brettles,
Demerals, of course.
the Demerals boas, which are really cool. We had our first litter this year. And then
I'm so excited. I can't wait.
They're so cute.
The babies are amazing.
I want to just come in and have a big mess of stuff in here. It's going to be awesome.
They're not that messy. Like, surprisingly, when she had her litter, it was not that messy.
Really?
Yeah. The only thing that we found was a bunch of little baby sheds because they shed immediately.
Weird.
And then they took a meal like the day or two after they were born.
Yeah.
How big was the litter?
We had 9 babies. So relatively kind of in the middle. Yeah, I've heard smaller and bigger. So
yeah, I mean, honestly, like for the longest time, we weren't even sure if she was gravid because
8 months from the last lock.
Yeah, because we've heard not many people who are still in the hobby still breed them or have bred them. So because previously Demerals were just like a $50 animal sitting on someone's table, and then all of a sudden
they blew up.
Nobody was breeding them, and then it became like kind of like this niche species where everyone's like, oh my god, someone has one, let me buy it.
Everyone realized they couldn't afford Madagascar ground boas, so they had to do this instead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tanzania blew up. They all kind of.
I know.
All of the
yeah.
animals out of Madagascar are really cool.
Which is awesome because you're getting a lot of more people into different, not just like, having a ball python that's 80 different colors, but you're keeping different species, rare species that, need the help from conservation and the recognition from the public to get that conservation. And so I think, because previously, like before all this, like I was just, like I said, I was just doing ball pythons. I didn't like really dive into a lot of things. Like I had a couple carpet pythons here and there, and but like Geoff was the one who really opened my eyes to a lot of this stuff and making me realize that like there's beauty in normal. You know what I mean? Like, Dunn's pythons, like
I'll pull one out for you.
Oh my God, they're beautiful.
Well, I've sent you the pictures between my male over there and her, that they're dramatically different. He's like super bright, rusty, real busy pattern, and she's crazy reduced and like covered in ash. It looks like she's real dark. And so I'm really, nothing else, I'm excited to see what that combination makes.
And so like that's like the more the color mutation like that happens between species or within a species, but like to get people excited about that is like super hard when you're having a comparison between ball python genetics. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's hard for people to get excited about things like that. But that's why I think we really want to kind of work with them, is like to show how excited people, or show how beautiful these animals are, to get people excited about working with them. So we have who do I have here?
That's the female.
Okay. So this is Lilo. This is our female Dunn's python. From our buddy over Ryan at Molecular Reptiles, and then Stitch.
This is our male.
Is our male, and so like you can kind of see the difference. I mean, they're the same thing, right? Dunn's pythons, but they're like, she has a lot more freckling. I don't know, like the pictures online are going to be so much better than on here, but like, so she has a lot more freckling than he does.
Do they fit? So are they in a?
So they're in the Liastus genus. So.
Okay.
They're
knew where I was going.
yeah. So they're closely related to the Maclots, the Savus, and things like that. Yeah. They're from a small island, about 70 miles wide, and it's called Weetar. That's very remote, so they're not field collected very often at all. And these guys were actually almost lost in the hobby. If it wasn't for Ryan Young, Nick Mutton, and KJ, and down in Florida, I think he's where he's at, we probably wouldn't have these guys in the hobby.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He was, I think he's gotten 3 clutches. I think he was the first one to get them in the States in the last 30 years or so.
Yeah.
There's some guys in Europe that are doing a lot of good stuff with Duns. And then there's, of course, some people in Indo that are doing some really cool things with them too. Mm-hmm. But transportation to that island is by boat maybe every 2 weeks, roughly, unless you can get a private boat.
Yeah. So getting wild specimens is super difficult. So being able to have, these are F1s. So having, captive bred animals from wild is like, especially with this species, like that's crazy. Like
they're so cool. Like they're probably my favorite snake in the collection.
And they just look so prehistoric. Like honestly.
That's awesome. You'll have to put me on your short list if you end up producing. That's I didn't even know they exist. Honestly,
and that's the thing. A lot of people don't.
Yeah, I like the obscure stuff. It's cool. That's why I want a Crebo. I want a Crebo for that, and because it's going to be. I have zero desire ever, and they're not even legal here, to work with hots. But I want a Crebo because, as far as I'm concerned, that's like having a king that's not capable of killing you.
Yeah. So, yeah.
That part would be kind of fun, but it's like when I go to Garrett's place there. I go Reach Out Reptiles. I try to get there every year if I can, but I obviously COVID screwed that up. But it's part of that is because I'm super fascinated with the super dwarves in general. When I going from somebody that was deathly afraid of snakes to begin with, to 2 years ago being in Jay's place, handling his 18 and 20 foot monster mainlands, and the big mainlands that Brian Cusco has in that. And I was like, cool. Well, I'm like over that. Those are really cool. I'm not afraid of it anymore. But then I started like learning about the more of the temperament and the intelligence and the mannerisms and that of retics. And I found Garrett, and I went out there for the first time. And I started learning about the super doors. I'm like, man, this is where it's at. This is super cool, you know. And you were talking about scrubs. Like, I'd love to have a scrub. I got to play with that scrub that Brian has. And it's it's a wily one, you know. But pure amethystine aren't legal here for some stupid reason.
Really?
That's very weird.
Yeah. I can have a 7-foot carpet python, but I can't have a scrub. Or I can have a 9-foot crebo or a 7-foot Dumerals, but I can't have a scrub. But whatever. But I've been talking with Jeremy at Nerd about different subspecies of scrubs, and like you were saying, like Maclots or white lips, or something. Kind of get into some of those more obscure pythons, just to have
amazing.
Just have like a fun little eclectic, collection. Not necessarily to breed all of them. Maybe just have one of each. Just have a little. I'm already on the list. I don't know when this will happen, but I'm already on the list with Bill Stiegel for a roughie. Because when I was down at his place a couple years ago, I fell in love with that snake. They're insane.
They're so cool. Their story is really cool too, because they were almost thought to be extinct.
Yeah,
in the wild.
It's like the concept to me of having effectively a Morelia or something like that, but that looks and feels like a rattlesnake is just crazy. With those keeled scales and that, they're so cool.
Yeah.
So I'm on deck for that at some point. The crazy part Bill was telling me about roughies is their tails are too fragile as neos to sex them. So if you can get your hands on roughies that are fresh, you buy them unsexed. So you roll the dice on whether or not you get a pair or a female or whatever you wanted. Because you can't tell until they're like 6 months or something. So that was kind of interesting, but no, that part's interesting. That starts, and then you've got freaking Anaconda, which is insane.
we have a lot. Yeah, we have, like, for as small of a, I guess, operation that we have a lot. Like, we have, like I said, we have like 16 or 17 different species that we're working with, to hopefully one day, like, be able to reproduce a lot of them. Because we have white lips, we have the gold phase and the black phase. We've southerns and northerns.
We're attempting southerns this year, so
yeah, we're attempting.
Wish us luck.
That'd be rad. Have you seen Nerd's T positive white lip?
That's insane. Yeah, I saw some of the ones that too. Those are so cool.
Yeah, they're. I mean, I still like the southern look. I like that all black with the white on them.
Yeah, definitely.
Those are
And then the albino anaconda that Megan Kelly's got.
Oh my god, that is gorgeous.
That is nice.
That's another gal I need to get on here and talk to. I'd love to go see her place, because you talk about being a woman in the community and in the hobby and that, but let alone in the giant snake world, and has some of the biggest and nicest large body snakes in the country, and a fairly sizable collection of them. Like, that's insane. I mean, I can't imagine. I watched Jay try to throw around those retics and that, and you look at Megan. She's not a big girl by any stretch, and like, she's just picking up these 100-pound freaking anacondas and toting around with them. Like, makes it all look bad.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm excited to see where she's able to go with that project, because I think was it Ben Rennick?
That was it's originally Ben Rennick's wild caught, I believe.
Yeah, rest in peace. Yeah,
and I know that
Ben had some yellows too, I think.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not 100% on any of that, but I'm sure they have all the information. So if you're able to get her on, like, do it, because that'd
be rad.
She has some information, some stories. For sure.
The issue with those, and I kind of had this similar situation when I had Desiree and Steven on, is the lineup that I've been building so far are friends in the hobby. That was the way I kind of started all this, was just get friends on, oftentimes people in smaller collections or not so much front of mind in that just to kind of get more people exposure and hang out and talk shop. And I had a lot of people like Josh that were very instrumental in getting us to where we are. And, Lindsay Noble, Lindsay was the same way in that. But I am trying to reach out to some other people that I either haven't talked to at all or very little, and try to get them on as well. And Desiree and Forrest were that way. I had talked to Desiree maybe 3 times before that interview, and I had talked to Stephen hands, on and off a little bit, and I knew that was a little bit more awkward because there wasn't the friendly banter because I didn't really know them, but I also had to be super delicate about how I approached things because of what was going on with Forrest and everything. And so that was, but Megan would be another one of those, not that I got to be delicate with her, but that trying to engage and not be, not have a bunch of dead air and be boring, but really get to know her. Because I think she'd have a lot to teach all of us, honestly.
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Her videos, I mean, she doesn't make as many as I wish she would, but her videos are always really informative.
Yeah.
We have a male anaconda from her, and she's just amazing to work with.
Yeah.
The male anaconda, not so much. She's not too nice, but
so are you planning to breed them?
We attempted it a little bit this season, but we kind of slowed down just because we didn't want all the babies coming all at once. So
yeah.
we didn't get any visual locks out of them. They were in the water, and of course they pooped and peed, so we couldn't see anything anyways.
Yeah,
of course.
It was disgusting. But
it's part of the process.
If you want some not so dead space, I recommend getting Cody and Pia from the Reptile Preservation Institute, I believe is what it's called.
Yeah.
He has so many stories. I think that was one of Forrest's best friends. So
definitely.
They're doing some amazing work over there.
Yeah, and I've got to send Dave Kaufman a message too. I've talked to him a number of times.
Oh,
and
there you go. Yeah.
Dave's another one of those guys that I'd like to just light up and let him just turn him loose. Because
he can talk to.
He's been there and done it. That's the cool thing. I'm working towards some of the older guys in the industry too, that because I want to get a lot more of the history. That's the stuff that I'm interested in, and talking to Josh a little bit because he's been around a long time. That was really interesting. I've been in talks with Sean Bradley, but his scheduling Sean is next to impossible. He's I know it's hard to believe, but he's a little difficult to work with. But we've got Chris Eaton lined up coming up.
Nice.
If the scheduling, that should be fun. Because he's got that New Yorker attitude. So it'd be kind of, he might be fun just to kind of poke at a little bit and see if I can get him riled up, And if the scheduling works out, I am going to have Brian Barczyk on here.
Awesome.
Because it was really cool having him here, but we were so pressed for time trying to get videos done and, show them the collection and meet and learn and, the whole 9 yards before they left. I'd like to get him on here and just open him up and I want to ask all of the, not so many. I mean, I asked you, Geoff, before, and I do with all my guests before we start, is there anything off limits? Anything you do or don't want to talk about? Because I think that's fair. Yeah. I don't want to corner somebody into something they don't want to talk about. And so there's probably a handful of things with Brian that I'm probably not allowed to bring up. But it would be interesting to get the background because, they were there when the first one showed up.
Mm-hmm.
The first pinstripe or the first spider or the first, albino or whatever. And I think it'd be interesting to watch that evolve to what we're all doing now.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, especially when it comes to ball pythons, there's quite a history there that I don't think a lot of people are aware of because they're so readily accessible now. They're in every pet store across the U.S. Everybody and their mom breeds ball pythons. Not to say that that's
sometimes
bad
they
thing,
shouldn't,
but yeah, it is what it is. Do what you're passionate about, but I don't think people just really think about it. They're just oh, ball python. My 7 cousins have ball pythons. Cool. What's there to really
there's
know about
a lot of
them?
background on them though.
Yeah, and there's the stories. I think Brian's talked about it previously in some of his just some of the information dealing with people in Africa.
Yeah.
To get them here was a challenge, in and itself. So
very risky.
It is interesting for sure. But yeah, that'd be great just to kind of see the story from his eyes, what he had to go through and everything.
Well, and there's a lot of that background and a lot of that part of the hobby that none of us will ever get to or have to experience. You talk about the importing and dealing with I can't remember the guy's name, but the main guy over there in in Benin and whatnot, trying to get animals back, and the amounts of money that you had to float through Western Union and crap like that. Like that's a scary. I mean, you hear Brian talk about the kind of money that they dealt with back then in the early 90s. I'm like, good Lord, like that's
a lot of money.
You literally just sent that dude $100,000 for a snake you've never seen. Like, more importantly, you sent that dude $100,000 for a snake. Like,
right? Yeah,
it's insane. So that's been the fun part for me in this, since I can't travel to go see these people, is to get the interviews. So,
absolutely, yeah. No, I think this is awesome that what you're doing, because, like you said, there's a lot of people who are doing the audio, doing a lot of like just chatting with people, but I kind of like this video cast, or whatever you called it earlier.
Vidcast.
Yeah, like I like this because
StreamYard's amazing.
Yeah, it's
more
interactive, I guess, with people than just listening to people talk. Because I honestly, like, I hate just audio. Like, I can't. Like, I'm not that kind of person. I need like a visual stimulation. I need to see a video or something that's happening, not just listen to people talk.
Well, and as bad as I am about monitoring the chat, I do like having that available, and it's all in real time, because then you can get people engaged in here. And my streams usually are not very big. This is pretty normal, actually. There's 30 of them in here right now. We had a lot last week, but Josh that was kind of a hyped episode for a while, because he's known by a lot of people.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah, he's been in the hobby for much longer.
Yeah,
than I've been.
So I kind of to be fair, I didn't expect it to be that good, but I did expect a little bit bigger turnout. And again, there's football on tonight, so I understand why people aren't here. This is actually an interesting one. The Northeast Morphs it says, I'm just starting out as well. From all the research I've done, I've decided to grow my way into the community, grow the collection, breed, learn from endless hours of virtual mentors. I had a guy here earlier, and I think he's still in here. He came and picked up some hatchling racks from me, and he's doing the same thing. All the information that he was given, all the guidance he was given, was start with babies, grow them up, because they'll be your best breeders. You'll know them inside out and backwards. Don't go buy a dozen breeder females and try to jump in and figure this out on the start. And I think that's smart.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with some of the species we keep, like, you can't even buy adults. Like, it's just impossible. You have to start with babies and go grow your collection from there, which is totally fine by us, because, this is something that we're both really passionate about. We don't see an end point, really, because you do see a lot of people who are like, all right, I have a stopping point. Like, I'm buying a home, or I'm having my third kid, or, this or that. And for us, it's things happen, they happen, but we love the animals, we love what we're doing, and we love to share this passion with other people, especially like in our local community, because in Washington State, like, it's not ideal to really keep and breed reptiles. Our temperature is not. Yeah, like, we have more rainy days than we do sunny days. None of us can really keep anything outside besides like maybe in the summer. You know,
maybe.
We're not like Florida. We're not like Texas in places like that where you have better temperatures to really keep reptiles. And so, the community out here is small, but it's growing. And we want to be part of that. So
we have YouTube royalty in the house.
Let's go. Nice.
Made the venture out. He's obviously here for you, because he does not come into my stream. So,
Port Angeles, nice.
Oh yeah, okay.
No,
not at all. Port Angeles is actually really beautiful. We were just at the Hoh rainforest here,
like a couple months ago.
Yeah, like 4 or 5 months ago, we took a day trip out to the Hoh rainforest. That was beautiful.
Went through there, yeah, really pretty.
Beautiful.
So, what's some of your highlight stuff for the year? What are you working on that you can talk about? Everybody has a secret project.
I would say, like, so getting the duns is a really big thing for us, because it was one thing that, like, Geoff's like really good at finding these things. Like, I'm just like, whatever he finds, I'm like, I'm cool. Like, it looks cool. Like, it seems easy. Like, it doesn't seem like there's too many difficulties keeping them, raising them. And so getting the Duns Python, I think, was a really big thing for us. Having the Demerals was a really big thing because for the longest time we didn't think that she would even lay or have the litter. And I don't know what else. Maybe getting some of the white lips we have.
Yeah, I think just we upgraded a lot of equipment too this last year. And I think that was
that was a big thing.
Really good. Taking a step back and buying new racks, buying new enclosures, getting some of our stuff on UVB because we kind of wanted to add that into, our 4-foot enclosures and switching up from heat tape to maybe a heat panel or different kind of heat emitters that we're trying to experiment with. I think that was really cool. So.
Yeah, I don't think we have really any like secret projects going on. Most of the things that I guess that we share online, I mean, we don't really have anything that's behind the scenes right now. It's just we're growing up a lot of stuff, like different species that we want to work with in the future. So yeah, I can't really think. I mean, the white lips are going to be a big thing if we're able to get them to reproduce. So
hold back everything.
Yeah, hold back everything.
That's gonna be my problem this season too, is I'm making a lot of double heads and combo heads and stuff like that. And like, I still got to pay bills, and I don't have room for 150 hatchlings. Like, I got to do something with it. But man, I'm trying to stack the deck now for 3-4 years from now to where I can be, a legitimate player, I guess, to put it lightly. So I gotta say, in the background, your guys' rack setup there is super rad. Thank you. Did you guys custom build that? I know it's an ARS setup, but is that like a custom design?
No, the wood thing is custom. She made that. This little topper.
I made that a few years ago when we didn't have. I think so we just got 2 more levels for the 7030 rack, and so that was just a topper that I made. In the afternoon, I don't like just having an empty top. So I wanted something I could like put stuff on. Yep. And then, I think we just went with ARS. I think that was just kind of the path because I got this rack for fairly cheap locally. Because I had PVC, like everything was PVC. I never did like the melamine. But I like the professional look. It's easy, and I like. Oh my gosh! If anybody's getting into this, get bins with deli cup holders.
Yes,
it will change your friggin' life. I promise you.
This is annoying.
Yes.
They always flip it.
Yes. Oh my gosh! Even with like just ceramic dishes, like having to clean those.
Yeah.
Like oh my gosh. Being able to recycle deli cups is so much easier.
That was such a huge upgrade for us when we went from the V18 tubs with half-sized PVC couplers and plastic cups or whatever to the Freedom Breeder 5 with the cup built in was game changer. Like,
oh yeah. Well, and now the V18s have the built-in cup holder. I'm ready. Once I like sell a few animals, I'm gonna like put a huge order in because I have 5 V18 racks, wow. That's 80 tubs, I think. And I'm like, oh my God, thinking about all the belly cups for that I could just easily switch it and out would be so nice.
I ordered 10 of their 8 series just to have for like extra large, if I got hatchlings that are outgrowing the 5s that I haven't sold yet or whatever. So I'll have those on hand because my hatchling rack's designed to hold them all the variation. And then I found a place here in town that I can actually get deli cups from locally, so I don't have to wait for shipping or anything, which is super handy.
Yeah.
But I can't wait, man. I love, and I ordered from Ed at CMC a stack of the indented paper liners for the FB5s. So all of my hatchlings this season are going to go right onto paper. I'm not even going to use Cocoa Blocks or Reptichip for them.
Yeah.
Which will be
huge. It's just easier with paper anyway, with hatchlings. How much
it definitely
how often that they defecate. Like it's such a pain, like trying to pick through Reptichip or Cocoa Blocks or whatever to try to, unless you just dump all of it at once. It's just so much easier when you have because we just use paper towel because it's the easiest. We have a Costco down the street, and so we have a Costco business too that sells all the deli cups, which is really nice.
Oh, that's handy.
Yeah. So, because previously, I was ordering them straight from ARS or Superior Shipping Supplies, and I was like, okay, this is like getting, like, the shipping is getting out of hand, like the shipping cost. Like I need to find, and then cash and carry. We had our local cash and carry used to carry them, and then like I don't know, I was there for like a few months where they stopped carrying it, or they weren't able to supply it, and I was like, all right, I need to find another source. So then we were at like the Costco business one day, and I was like, oh my god, they have the 500 count of the 16-ounce delis and the 8-ounce deli. I'm set. Like I don't need to go anywhere else. Yeah, so it was nice, but yeah, the paper for the babies is, I think, really key.
Well, we're coming up on the hour and a half mark. That's usually where I start seeing where we are overall.
Okay.
There's 32 people in here because Costco hasn't left yet. I'm surprised.
I know.
Like I said, he's here for you guys, definitely.
I don't know why we're not that interesting.
But if anybody in the chat's got any specific questions or anything they want to bring up for Kendra and Geoff, then go ahead and drop them in. I'll keep a little bit closer eye on it. What do you got on deck for the most anticipated clutches of the year so far? What are you planning?
Okay,
start with the ball pythons.
Yeah, ball pythons. I have quite a few hypopide projects that I'm really shooting for this season, and then a couple of desert ghost projects I'm really excited about. I mean, it's nothing like crazy because there's only so many avenues with desert ghosts that are available right now for us financially. So, but I am excited for desert ghost stuff and see where that goes. And then just obviously pied stuff, because that was kind of my end game with doing the ball pythons, just pieds in general. I really like them. As far as other things go, we're hoping for some Brazilian rainbow boas this season. Some more Dumerals, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
I'm pretty sure she's gravid. This is our other female. She's a little bit younger.
Yeah.
So. But and then the white lips, of course.
Yeah, and then the white
most
lips.
Anticipated.
Yeah, the white lips are the most anticipated. I hope that they go this season. I don't know if they will, but you never really know.
It's always next year.
Exactly.
Yeah,
there's next year. So
I don't know what this says about me. Chris, just as a quick aside, he wants to show some snakes. This is not a written rule by any means, and I've never declared it as such, but I don't take snakes out on my live stream because my immediate family are completely adverse to snakes, which is why there's no snake content on my personal YouTube or Facebook channel, Facebook page.
Oh, okay.
It's only done on Instagram, but occasionally my dad and others in the family will watch these or tune in sometimes if they remember that they're on or whatnot. And so out of respect to them, I typically don't pull snakes out on the stream. It's just, I mean, they're in the background. You can see them moving. So I'm not hiding them, but a lot of people in theirs, they'll pull out stuff constantly. But you get going back and forth with discussion and that, and half the time I'm not even in the snake room. And sometimes people's collections are spread out to the point where it doesn't make any sense. So not something that I make a point to do, I guess is the best way to put it. Sheffield Reptiles wants to know if you guys are going to be at the Missoula show. I have a question for Sheffield if the Missoula show is even going to happen.
Yeah, it's like I didn't even know something like that was going to happen.
Shows?
Yeah.
Because, I have not heard. I was just at James's place last weekend, I guess it was, getting my hatchling rack done. And we have not talked about BSR shows at all.
Yeah, I didn't even. Yeah, because Portland's like.
Yeah.
Portland, Oregon, and I think the only place really that's happening is on the East Coast, I thought.
Yeah, so I know that the Denver shows, or the Denver area shows, Herb's Pueblo is going. The Reptilian Nation shows are still on deck, but Denver's got some weird rules right now too. So I can tell you though, I'll make the announcement now. Actually, before I do real quick, this is the guy that was here just a little bit ago. He wants to be on the waiting list for the Dumerals. But
keep an eye on our Instagram.
I will have the Dumerals this year.
We'll see. We'll see, Jason.
And we don't have to shoot them. Yeah.
Oh, she goes.
I will be if everything stays as scheduled at this moment, I will be at the Show Me, not true. I will be at the Herps Kansas City show the end of March with
Dang, that's a long drive.
Ball Python shit. We're flying.
Oh, okay.
We're going to be in Kansas City for the week anyway with family and that. And I just happened to I noticed the other day I was looking that the Herp show is that weekend. That also happens to be my wife's birthday. So that's a whole other thing. But no, Josh at Ball Python Shed has already told me I can come into his table and whatnot.
Awesome.
So we will be there. If anybody in the KC area or makes the drive, there's a good chance that I'll be there. So that'll be the first show I've been to in 2 years, probably, something like that.
Wow. Okay. That's cool. Though.
We're gonna try to make it to NRBC in I think October. Is that the one we're trying to go to?
I don't know if that's
if it happens.
Yeah, if it happens.
That's the other one I am scheduling to try to accomplish is to make Tinley because we've never done it and we've tried.
I know. That was kind of the plan this year was to go. That was like I was excited for it, and then COVID happened.
This October, it just happens to work out because of all this COVID stuff that there's a very good chance that I will be in DC the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday before Tinley for my job doing legislative stuff with Congress and whatnot. And so I'm trying to work it out so my job pays me to go. And then all I got to do is fly my wife into Chicago and we can go to the show. Nice. It's the plan currently is to go to DC, do my stuff there, drive up to Pittsburgh on Wednesday or Thursday or whatever, hang out with Garrett and the retics and that, make the convoy with him through Desiree's place.
Oh,
and
very
then,
cool.
And then end up at Tinley, and then my wife and I will fly home from there. So
that's like an epic road trip.
that's like a 12-day adventure I'm talking about. It's like
it's good content too.
You gonna vlog it all?
Oh my jeez. It's interesting, and Brian's in here, so maybe he can speak to it, but my brain doesn't work like that. And what I mean is, like, even when I was at Brian's house a couple years ago, and then we drove up the next day to Freedom Breeder, along the way, you watch any of his videos, like I'm going up to the vet because we're dealing with Sunset and the issues going on with that or whatever. And then the next like 90 seconds of his video are epic, insane drone shots because he pulled over on the side of the road to get a picture of the ocean. Like, my brain does not work that way to, in the moment when I'm on a trip or when I'm at somebody's collection or whatever, to say, I need to vlog this. Like, I don't know how to live. That sounds bad, but I don't know how to live through the camera. I'm always just so into what's going on. I forget that I should be filming. So that's the hard part, honestly, about doing that. If I could figure out how to do it and I can make this trip work to go to Tinley and that would be super cool. Cause then I can tag along with with the convoy and that, and that'd be like, that's the trip to make is from Garrett's place to Tinley.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. Okay. Well then we'll just bug you, right? We'll just be like, Jason, where's our vlog?
Yeah. Right?
Where's this epic road trip vlog?
Let's see if I miss anything here. Brian, Tinley is life-changing only if you get to sleep on the floor in the same house as Garrett. That's how that works.
Oh, okay. That's the goal.
That's how Searchable as Reptiles came to be, is the two of them sleeping on the same floor, head to head, just talking about this design in the middle of the night. Like that's how I told Garrett he can come out here anytime he wants to visit. I was like, I've got a full guest room, or you can just sleep on the floor in the snake room. He's like, I'll just do that. Those guys are weird, man.
Another thing we're trying to do this next year is Carpet Fest. There's a bunch all over, and we want to try to get to the other ones.
Is there a Northwest by you guys at all?
There's a Northwest, yeah. We're going to try to host this year.
That'd be super cool.
If COVID, allows us to. But
I wonder how far of a drive that is.
You should come out, man. It's really fun.
It's not that far. It's like,
dude, it's like 8 hours to a border in every direction just before I can leave the state.
Worth it.
Well, that's why I said you just need to move to Washington.
Oh,
You know, like
God,
it won't be that far.
well, what you do is move to Kansas City, where I'm literally right smack dab in the center of the country, and it's way cheaper to just fly places.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, the Midwest. Yeah, the Midwest is definitely cheaper compared to Seattle.
Yeah, flights out of here are insane. And you know what's crazy? We're gonna book our flights here in the next couple of weeks to go to KC in March, and it's like $260 a person round trip or whatever, which is not bad at all. Like for us, we're like, oh, write the check. That's like before it goes up quick. You know,
yeah.
I looked for similar dates, or no, I looked for similar amount of time later in the year, like August, to go back home to Sacramento. It's $1,100. It's insane. It is so insanely expensive for whatever reason to go to California, but to fly out of here in general is just dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not too bad up here.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
and having SeaTac right there is pretty easy because you can go anywhere in the world from there.
Yep. SeaTac, and you got Billingham, and then Everett's starting to open up a lot of flights too.
Yeah. Which is weird because it wasn't like that a few years ago.
Yeah.
That's fairly new.
And make sure I'm not missing anything here.
Oh, is Southwest Carpet Fest happening at your house, Brian?
That's a good question. Yeah, I didn't.
That'd be cool.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Brian says his brain doesn't work, period. I don't believe that, Brian. I really don't. I've watched your videos. I don't get it. But speaking of which, Brian, if you're okay with addressing it on here in the comments, we are curious as to how Sunset is doing because I haven't seen an update in a while. So Intel's asking when is Tinley? It's always in the Chicago, Tinley is always in March and October. There's a really good chance the March show's not going to happen because Illinois is insane. But Phil Goss and those guys seem to think they're pretty strong chance that October will happen. And they started opening the St. Louis show in the middle of the year to kind of compensate for that too. So Brian said yes. Southwest is at his house this year.
Sweet.
So might have to make the pilgrimage that way. I really want to meet Eric and Owen, thank you. Yeah, I want to meet those guys too. I've listened to their show a lot.
Yeah.
So, gotta get out that way at some point. Painfield. Yeah, Morelia Radio. There you go. Northwest or Northeast said Morelia Radio is a great place to learn about the Australian species.
Got me obsessed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now it's Owen. It's Owen now that's into the retics too, right? So he's kind of gone off the deep end.
Yeah, from what I hear, he's getting out of them because they keep breaking out.
Oh wow! I haven't listened in a while, so I don't know where they're at.
You should catch up. They got some good stuff going on. I think they have like 5 or so different podcasts, like things that they got going on. A lot of good stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
All right, cool. Yeah. So I'm caught up over here, just making sure I didn't miss anything. But so I interrupted you kind of in the middle of that though. What you're working on hypopide stuff and DG and that kind of jazz, and then is there that one combo that you're really hoping you hit this year?
I mean, anything Desert Ghost, like I'm cool with. Anything hypopide, I'm cool with. I'm really shooting for like adding Enchi into hypopide because I really like Enchi. Like it's so, I don't know, I guess underrated. But with Pied, it really, I just like it because it brings more of that pattern in because, you can get a lot of high weight stuff. But with Enchi, you get a lot of low weight stuff. And I prefer that look, I guess. And then just, I guess anything Pied, I like, basically.
I like Pied too.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to go super crazy with like a lot of different things. I do want to get into some dreamsicle stuff here in the future, maybe. And then I do really like the Desert Ghost stuff, the stuff that's starting to come out now. So I might jump on that. And then I might have a way into the puzzle project in the future, but that might be a while we kind of figure out our other stuff first.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I think Brian responded. I think this comment Wednesday is in regards to the update on Sunset. So
Okay.
we'll have to look for that. I happen to know where there is a really nice lavender het pied male available.
Oh my gosh, is it on your Morph market?
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah.
Just could have guessed that. That's crazy. Well, first, you know the drill. I gotta find some females first before I get a male.
Yeah, I know. That's
the drill.
And that's part of the problem. You end up with byproduct or, or lots of males left over. And like sales have kind of, I don't know if it has for you, but sales have definitely slowed for us since right around Thanksgiving, probably.
Christmas and everything. And
then everybody's waiting for their $1,400 to show up and then they can start buying stuff again.
Exactly.
Are we getting another one?
We're probably going to get a dozen of them this year.
I hope so. Damn.
It's monopoly money. It's not real. But no,
that's been a challenge with COVID is being able to sell animals because a lot of we sold quite a few animals with shows. People have been able to meet us because we didn't really have a big online presence, but now that's definitely changed.
We're trying to get more YouTube stuff out.
I'm really bad at that.
Yeah.
Really bad. Like I don't like being in front of a camera like at all. So
she's really good at being in front of the camera, but she's not like it.
I don't.
Man, I happen to know where it's located. And for those that are able to make it to the Herbst KC show in March, there's a really good chance that there will be a scaleless on that table to look at. A well started, probably 300 or 400 gram scaleless there. So
nice.
Yeah, I talked to Josh the other day. I'm gonna send her down if she hasn't sold by then, which I'm sure she hasn't. But I just think it'd be kind of cool to have as like a centerpiece on the table and maybe even get her sold. You never know. But
yeah, you never know.
Hey, Brian, I really appreciate you coming out for Kendra and Geoff. Like that's supporting them is awesome.
I know. I feel so special.
Feel honored. Appreciate it.
The one is also yes, Amanda, the one that's on my Morph market. It's mine. I'm the one that has the lavender het pied available.
Secrets out, guys.
Yeah, right. Unless you guys got anything else that you wanted to bring up or to address or say?
I don't think so. I think we're maybe just keep an eye on like our Instagram and our Facebook because I'm sure we're going to be posting stuff here pretty soon.
My bad. She was talking about the scaleless. Yes, the scaleless. It's on my Morph market. That's the one I'm talking about too.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much all I got.
Yeah.
Well, I think the community needs more of you guys for sure.
Appreciate that.
You need to step up. You need to step up your YouTube and IG game and whatnot. And you can't let Kendra just hide behind the camera all the time.
Why not? I'm so good at it.
But we'll definitely have you guys back on. Middle of the year or something like that. We'll see how the season's going and see if you guys have any cool personal life news for the rest of us to share.
It'll be exciting.
We'll see.
So I appreciate it. I'll go ahead and put you guys backstage for just a moment and sign out with everybody, and then I'll be right back with you if you got anything else to say.
Oh, thanks for joining, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for the support. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you guys coming in, obviously, and hanging out, and being involved in the chat. That's super cool. I love watching. I can't keep up with it, but I love watching people interact with each other in the chat. That's huge. It's a big part of this. It's not just me talking to the guest and back and forth and that. It's obviously a big community thing. So these seem to be going really well. I mean, the response is good so far. So I appreciate you guys supporting it and and subscribing to the channel and getting the word out that we're doing these. So with that, I guess if there's nothing else, I'm going to go ahead and sign off as well. And I will see you guys next week. Let me double check this. So there will be a regularly scheduled video on Thursday, like there always is. And then next Saturday, right back here for next week's a good one. Next week's going to be Khalil from 514 Reptiles up in Canada. So I'm super excited to have Khalil on. I've talked to him quite a bit leading up to this. And it's going to be a really interesting perspective to get the Canadian side of the ball python market and the hobby and the community in that. So I'll see you guys here Thursday for our regularly scheduled video. And then again, next Saturday, 6 p.m. West, 9 p.m. East for another live stream with Khalil. All right, guys. We'll see you.